Story time on how I found out my dad was molesting my 4-year-old daughter. I'm not doing these for attention, for clout, for none of that. If I can tell my story and help somebody else, that's what I'm gonna do.
So a lady shared a story of how she found out that her dad essayed a 4-year-old daughter. I feel like for some people that always say not all men, always say my dad is a good man, my brother is a good person, you wouldn't know what they are capable of doing in some situation. So she did a very long story time. I think the video is about 15 minutes, part one and part two, when she was talking about how close she was to her dad. And it's not like the dad actually did something like that to her when she was young. He didn't do anything related to that he was young. When she was young, but she found out that her daughter was, behaving one kind, and she was like, "Who did that to you?" And she was like, "It's Papa." And the only two males that are in the house that could have done that to the daughter is her husband or the father. But the daughter did not mention daddy or dada. She mentioned Papa. So apparently it's the dad that did something like that. So let me go ahead and roll this story time for you all to watch. Let's watch it together. And I'll be back to share my thoughts at the end of the video.
Story time on how I found out my dad was molesting my 4-year-old daughter. I'm not doing these for attention, for clout, for none of that. If I can tell my story and help somebody else, that's what I'm gonna do. First thing I want to say is pay attention to your kids. Your girls, your boys, pay attention. It was the smallest thing that brought everything to light. Something that I could have absolutely overlooked, and I did not. Because I pay attention to my child. I look at everything. I pay attention to everything when it comes to her. I be paranoid, and it comes from my own childhood trauma. But anyways, so my dad lived about 2 hours from us. I had just finished school and I was about to start my extern. My husband worked during the day and I needed somebody to watch my daughter while I did my extern because she wasn't in school at the time. Okay. So my husband drove 2 hours, picked my dad up, brought my dad back to our house. So I started my extern. Everything was going good. Mind y'all, I ain't never told nobody this, but I was already paranoid. Like, it was something. I was paranoid that whole week. It was like little small stuff that was being done that kind of had me uneasy. But, okay, so the first thing was one day my husband was about to drop me off at my extern. It was like 8 in the morning. My daughter was in our room because my dad was in her room. So my baby was in the bed asleep. My husband and I, we were leaving the house. And we were outside, I want to say maybe 30 to 45 seconds. Because my husband, when we got in the car, he realized that he left something. And he got up to go in the house. And when he got to our bedroom door, my dad was at the door. Mind you, my baby's in there sleep. It's like 8 in the morning. Before we left out the house, we told him that she was sleeping. That was weird to me, but then again, you couldn't tell him nothing about his grandchild. He loved his grandchild. I was thinking, like maybe she was whining or something and he went to check on her, but my husband was like, she's asleep. Okay. So another time, it was like my second or third day of my extern. My baby was playing in there with him. And she came out and she was just standing in the living room. And I could see his shadow in the hallway, like with his hand, he was like beckoning her to come back to where he was, but he would never say it out loud, which was weird because just call her name. But it was like he was silently beckoning her, like he didn't want us to hear or see that he was calling her in the back where he was. Okay. After that, I don't know. I wasn't even a week into my ex time when we found this out. Like, okay, he was doing little weird stuff, just weird stuff. And mind y'all, like I said, I lived with my dad my whole life. He got a bunch of nieces, a bunch of granddaughters. Everybody loved him, man. Ain't nobody ever said nothing out the way about him. No rumors. He ain't never did nothing to nobody. Like, he was just a host of fun. Everybody loved him. Like, that's why I'm shocked and hurt, like, to this day. Like, it still bothers me every day. But anyways, so one day, my baby, she came in there, like, she was still, like, at night, she was, at the time, she was still, like, with the bed. So, she had on a pull-up because it was nighttime and she was getting ready to go to bed. So, she lay out on the couch and she put her hand in her pull-up. So, red flag, flag on the play. I don't play that. Why your hands in your pull-up? But of course, I was like, babe, why you got your hand right there? Like, what's wrong? Where you get that from? Somebody did that to you? I'm asking questions. She was like, yes. So, I already know. When you questioning a child, you do not say a name. Like, you don't say nobody's name. Because, that child can just go with whatever you're saying. So, I'm just like, somebody did that to you? I didn't say no name. Mind you, the only men in our house is my husband and my dad. And it could have been a woman. I got a bunch of cousins, whatever. It could have been a woman. So, my husband, my dad, and sometimes my brother come around. But, yeah, at the time, it was just us three in the house. So, I'm like, somebody did that to you? And she's like, yeah. So, I don't want to say a name. So, I'm like, okay, baby, who did that? She was like, Papa. That's what she called my dad. I'm like, Papa, I'm trying to get some clarity. Papa changed you? Papa, what? Wiped you? Took you a bath? I can't say exactly what it was that she did. She showed me what he did. And she also said something that he did. And my heart just dropped. I was crying so bad. I told my husband and my dad got into an altercation. And yeah, I called my auntie. My auntie lived down the street from me, and I told her. And she was like, oh, I just don't believe he did that. I don't believe mind you, this my auntie on my mama's side. She was like, I don't believe he did that. Wait, I gotta do a part 2. Part 2 on how I found out my dad was saying my 4-year-old. And I'm emotional because I done recorded this part 2 like twice and it keep deleting, and I'm wondering if that's a sign like to just stop and let it go. But no. Okay, like I said, I called my auntie. My auntie was a police at the time in the town that we lived in. Okay. So, and she stayed right down the street. So naturally, I'm going to call my auntie. I called my auntie. She came over. And I don't know if it was because I had just broke down crying or because my husband and my dad had just had a argument and was yelling. But when my auntie started asking my baby questions, she would not answer the questions. And my auntie literally told me right there in my face, like, okay, I don't believe this. And my auntie might see this. Auntie, no hard feelings, but yeah, that hurt me. Anyways, so I'm getting emotional, y'all. Hold up. Okay, so my auntie said she didn't believe it and told me to take my baby to the hospital, which I was gonna do anyway. I ain't see anything, but I still wanted to take her to get checked up. So we took her to the hospital. When the doctor came in, she told us off jump, like, usually you don't find no type of physical evidence with cases like that. But my baby ended up telling the doctor the same thing that she told us. And they called, okay, we went to the hospital in Memphis because it's the closest hospital to the children's hospital in Memphis. It's the closest children's hospital near us, even though we stay in Mississippi. So they end up calling the police from Mississippi, because that's where we lived, to the hospital in Memphis. And the police that call, that's the station that my auntie work in. So they came, took our statements or whatever, and the doctor had just told us that she saw something, and it could have came from constipation, like some strain with constipation, or it could have came from something else. And they could have taken her somewhere else and did an invasive testing, but it wasn't recommended. So I told my auntie that. And like I said, the woman wasn't sure where it came from. And I didn't want to do the invasive testing. So, of course, that's not going in nobody's paperwork or whatever. So my auntie was getting access to the files or whatever. So she called, like, talking about she didn't see anything about, what I had just said. Of course you don't see it. We don't even know if that's where it came from, That upset me so bad because you don't believe her, and now you looking at files talking about what you don't see. So anyways, they made it to where my auntie couldn't even access those files anymore because I was so upset. And hardly nobody. Well, at first everybody was like, "Oh, that's so sad," and he wrong for that. But a year later, everybody his best friend, y'all. Everybody his best friend. Everybody, I talk to him, and he miss y'all, and this, that, the third, y'all. My family, my mama people. Oh, you don't think she got that off YouTube? What's YouTube? Yeah, that is so hurtful. For people to doubt your child, that's hurtful. But I understand a little bit because of his character. Like I said, we all grew up together. My cousins, I got plenty of girl cousins. He got plenty of granddaughters, nieces. He never did this to none of us. None of us, y'all. He never made us feel uncomfortable in no type of way. My mom died when I was 14 years old. I lived with my dad my whole life. He got full custody of me. My dad never made me feel uncomfortable. He never did nothing to me. Never said nothing to me out the way. But the way my daughter said what she said, the way she demonstrated what he did to her, I would be a fool to deny my child. I would be a fool to just sweep that under the rug and be like, "Oh, she 4 years old. She don't know what she's talking about. That came off YouTube." Y'all, these folks set up an interrogation for my baby 2 weeks after this incident happened. And I thought, it's 2 weeks later. My baby ain't gonna remember that. Y'all, when there's some truth to what your child is saying, one thing about it, when you lie or when you being untruthful, you gotta, it's hard to remember. But 2 weeks later, my 4-year-old went into the interrogation room with the police and CPS worker and the child therapist and repeated the same thing She even told them stuff that she didn't even tell us because she was afraid to tell us. 45-minute long interrogations 2 weeks later. She did what needed to be done. That's the exact thing that the CPS worker said to me when they came out of their room. She was like, she did a good job. She said what needed to be said. They sent that tape over to a grand jury or something like that, y'all. That was a year ago. I don't know what's going on. So I've been messed up. I can't lie. My dad was literally all I had. All I had. My best friend, literally. So the fact that he did this to us, and I gotta sit up here a whole year later, and my baby come to me and she say she miss her papa. My baby wants to see him. She wants to go to his house. She want to know why he didn't just apologize. She said, Mama, why didn't we just let him apologize? Why didn't we do that in the first place? Why he couldn't apologize like a real friend do? I had to explain to her, it don't work like that, baby. What he did, that's not right. You can't just let somebody do that to you and forgive them. She don't understand. And I'm fighting with this every day because not only did this happen to my child, but I lost my best friend in the midst of that. Because if you know me, you know that my daddy was literally my best friend. I'm talking about on the phone 4 and 5 times a day. Like, that's what kind of bond we had. And people want to know, like, why I be so angry at my family. Like, why wouldn't I be? I'm getting emotional. I gotta go.
When it comes to SA, when it comes to all this molestation and all of that, I feel like one of the reasons whereby people just keep to themselves and don't talk about things is that when you talk to people, most people do not believe you. Most people take you for a fool. Most people don't want to, they want to gaslight you or make you feel like you're stupid. I really don't get why our aunt was saying, I do not believe your dad can do something like that. Even if you know that he might not be capable of doing something like that, but at least I don't think she should have said something like that. Well, I feel like the very best way, what she should have done before that is she probably should have put camera in the house to really know what is going on. Maybe you should have just installed camera, like an hidden camera in the house and kind of put it up for like 3 days and kind of catch it up with camera. Then she would have been confident on what is going on. But I feel like a mother instinct, what she was having, for father, she said she was already feeling uncomfortable she was already feeling uncomfortable for a time. Then she started having that instinct. Then she saw her daughter do some kind of thing, and she had to ask, like, did somebody do this to you? Who did this to you? And the daughter just went on to say, it's Papa. Definitely, daughter knows that it's Papa. Daughter knows that Papa has put his hand here before. And because the daughter is still very young, her daughter is very young, she's just 4 years old, and she might not even understand what's going on. They don't understand what's going on. 4-year-old, most of them don't understand what's going on. So they just feel like it's a normal thing. It's my grandpa, I like him, he's your best friend. So why can't I not just trust him to do whatever he wants to do with me? But now, apparently, he denied it, and nobody is going to believe him because he's nice to everybody. And it makes her look stupid and makes her feel like she doesn't know what she's saying, or she shouldn't have trusted her daughter 100. What do you think about this story? What do you think is going on? Do you think that she shouldn't have trusted what came out from her daughter's mouth 100? She should have just, overlooked it or just tried to do more investigation before she just escalated everything. In the comment section, some people were dragging her like you're bringing out this story for cloud chasing. You should have protected your daughter. A lot of people were just saying some horrible things to her in comment section. And she made some other videos which I didn't download anyway. But I just brought this to you all to tell you that there are some men that in your family that you might have trusted so much that you feel like, oh, this person cannot do so thing cannot be this very harmful. When people are talking about how men can be very dangerous to them or how men essay them, unalive this, rape this, and you are going out there to say, oh, my dad is can do something like that, my brother can do something like that. You don't know what they're capable of doing. You don't know what they've gone outside to do. You don't know the kind of being that is inside them. That see, when it comes to males, I just feel like expect and unexpected from anybody, right? Don't 100 fully trust them because you don't know what they can do. And there are some other women that are just, they've graduated so much in pick means that they clap for these men when they do some things like that. I don't expect me telling you that somebody, oh, my dad, I said my daughter, and the next thing you're telling me, do you want to believe your daughter, or are you really sure that was what happened? Like, that was just so wrong of somebody else to say. I just feel like it doesn't make sense for you to say that. You should have just probably suggested something that, oh, I don't know if you can do something like that, but let's see. I feel like she should have done more investigation because knowing that the kind of reputation he has, that probably, as she said is everybody's best friend. Everybody likes him. She should have just mount a secret camera and capture everything, because for him to have done it the first time, he wants to try it again, right? Mount a secret camera and just expose him to the world so that people will not see you as a fool. Because now it now feels as if she's stupid. Why would you believe a small year old? Imagine her mom even saying that it must have been something she aired on YouTube. It's not something that we don't know what happened, to be honest. I don't know what happened, and she doesn't know what happened. She wasn't there. And to be honest, this child is also very small. But then I feel like she had a little mother instinct, and I feel like she knew what went wrong around it. And if the child should have mentioned either Dada or Papa, but the child chose to mention Papa. So, anyways, what is your take on this story time? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section respectfully. And thank you all so much for tuning in today's video. It's your favorite girl again, Maya Davis, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe and turn on the post notification bell so you get notified as soon as I upload another interesting video like this one. And of course, I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.